All right, you guys, some tech dropped off my computer, so we're gonna do this by hand, but it actually might work out better. Hopefully the volume's not too crazy. But we're gonna do our outlines real quick today. I'm gonna outline 2.1. It occurred to me that I probably haven't shown you guys like the process as we go through. I showed you how I talked to you guys about it. So here's our end product, okay? We're gonna do 2.1 today. Okay, 2.1 is gonna end up being on 2 pages. It's pretty substantial, but I think we can knock it out pretty quick. Once again, when you're outlining, you're not learning, you're just getting the information you need from a source such as a text. Okay, and then we're gonna burn through, okay? All right, here we go. All right, you guys, first thing we're gonna do is our IVF. We're gonna identify, we're gonna use a verb, and then we're gonna finish the statement. Okay, so our IVF is gonna be section 2.1. The verb is gonna be explains. Okay, section 2.1 explains, look at that, how we classify, 2 S's, matter. Okay, so section 2.1 explains how we classify matter. Okay, right across the top, all right? First thing you guys need to know about the first page is I don't care about anything on the first page. That's how quickly we do this, okay? All right, but what you guys will notice on the next page, it starts to get a little bit heavy on, there's a couple vocab terms, there's a couple stuff, we're gonna burn right through that, okay? So I recommend that you guys have your textbook open. I'm not gonna slide it back and forth on the screen very much, okay? But we'll figure it out, okay? So once again, this is fun descriptor, but we don't need to know any of this, okay? Next thing we start with is pure substances, okay? That's gonna be your Roman numeral 1. It's gonna be pure substances. Okay, pure substances. All right, now it's further broken down into its actual definition. So here we go, a pure substance. Okay, a pure substance, that is a vocab term because it's bolded, so we're gonna underline it. Okay, and let's see, a pure substance is a simple substance. Now, simple substance, I don't like that definition very much, but what's funny is we can go down and there's actually a key concept below this. I feel like in this context, the key concept and the vocab term are probably at the same level of breakdown underneath the first Roman numeral. And it says, every substance, okay, every substance, every sample,
There's guards. I should have known.
right? All right, you guys. Every sample has the same properties. Because a substance has fixed uniform composition. Now, we'll talk more about this, but here's the deal. Last night when I outlined this to practice for this, I was very cognizant of the terms I was using, and I was kind of cutting it down and making it short, but what I realized last night is if you just put down what's in the book, it's gonna be faster than shortening, because right now we're just collecting information, okay? And once again, I'll lecture about this later, so you don't need to know this stuff right now, you just need the information, okay? All right, so next thing we have is another green one here, and so if it's another green one, it's broken down by the author. That's gonna be a Roman numeral 2. Okay, you'll notice I skipped a space right there. It's helpful. Some of you guys also will leave like this margin alone. We'll talk about that here in just a second, okay? But you can add notes to it, all right? So this next one is elements. Okay, and then that's a thing is gonna give us a definition for elements here. So I'm gonna write element. Okay, an element, a substance, that cannot be broken down into a simpler substance. Okay. All right, you guys, so now it is a vocab term, so I'm going to underline it. Okay. And then we have our quick definition. All right. Now, once again, there's another key concept under it, but I feel like it's on the same level of information. And so an element has a fixed composition. Okay, an element has a fixed composition because it contains, okay, only one type of atom. Okay, once again, that's a key component later. Well, it's a key component, but we won't talk about it right now because we're not lecturing right now. We're just outlining. You guys can use these notes during outline, so I can lecture as fast as we want. You'll add a couple notes, and then you'll move forward, okay? All right, you guys, so now what's funny is we were green here, we're green here. Now we have a blue element, all right? So elements, it discusses these two components of it, but I think it further discusses it. So instead of jumping in or jumping back out, I'm gonna go C, and it tells us examples of elements. Okay, now what's unusual here is I'm gonna just slide this book under real quick to show you guys the examples of elements. There's nothing in here that stands out, okay? But the funny thing is it says it's about examples of elements. So I'm not even gonna read this because look, they give us 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just gonna list those. So we'll break that down into smaller groups. So I have 1. And I said there was 4 of them, right? 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the first one's gold. Second one is aluminum. Aluminum. Okay, then we have carbon. And then we have iodine. Okay. All right, you guys, so check it out. So that's the end of the page, but when I say page, we haven't put a page number on here yet. So when we start with pure substances, we're on page 39. Check out my page number here, okay? IVF, page numbers. Alphanumeric system, it cascades across the page. Largest information, next information, next information. And once again, it cascades in the correct orders. And then I have my page numbers. I underlined vocab terms. I defined every vocab term. So we're gonna move on to the next page. Okay, this guy's blue as well. So we established that the blue falls under the green here. And so we're gonna go D, okay? And for D, it says symbols of elements, all right? Okay, symbols for elements. Okay, now what's unusual here is there are no symbols listed in this section, okay? And so I was like, oh, well, so I read first and last sentences. So this is about some guy, okay? And this is about Greek, but I feel like that's not the point of this. And then so I looked through here again, I started doing first and last of each paragraph instead of just the section. It says first letter, or sorry, it says if there's a second letter, it's not capitalized. That seems important, so I went back one sentence. And it says the first letter is always capitalized. The second letter is not capitalized. Okay, and so I think that might be something important. So we're gonna kind of bump onto that. Okay, and so looking at that, I'm gonna assume that there's 1 or 2 letters, okay? So here we go, 1. There are always 1 or 2 letters. Okay, 2, first is capital. Okay, second is lowercase. Okay, and then let's see what else we got here. Anything else? Well, remember that last sentence is sometimes they come from Greek names or Latin terms, okay? And so we're just gonna put down that sometimes the words seem weird because they're Latin or Greek. Okay, now once again, that's one of those rare occasions on this outlining where because there was nothing obvious, I actually had to read a significant amount of this to get through. For some of you guys who don't like to jump around like I did, it might just be best to read it when there's nothing that stands out. All right, here we go again. Okay. Oh, also symbols for elements. The page was 40, I think. Yep. Okay. All right, you guys, so now we're back to another green. So we're going to jump back out to another Roman numeral. All right, this will be 3. Okay, and this one's compounds. Okay, compounds. All right, and then they're going to go down and break into it. So it's a A, and that is compound. Okay, that is a vocab term, so I'm going to underline it. Okay, a substance. Okay, a compound is a substance that is made, okay, from, oh, no worries, guys. A substance that is made from 2 or more simpler substances. Okay, 2 or more simpler substances, all right? Let's see here. All right, and can be broken down into simpler substances. Okay, so that's a big part of that, so I'm gonna add that. And can be broken down. Okay, and once again, when I lecture this, we'll discuss why that's important. Okay, can be broken down. Okay, underneath compound, we have another key concept. Once again, I think the key concept is probably right along the same level of understanding as the definition. Okay, and a compound always contains 2 or more elements joined in a fixed proportion. Okay, so you guys, it gives us some examples after that, but the fixed proportion is a huge component to this. Hope you guys get at fractions. Okay. All right, you guys, so now I'm looking at the next page, okay, and I'm gonna go, this one is green again, so we're gonna go IV. That's 4. This one is mixtures. Okay, and so on the mixtures, there's no definitions in here, but there is a key concept, okay? It says the properties of a mixture can vary because the composition of a mixture is not fixed. Now, once again, not lecturing this, I'm just taking notes out, but you'll start to identify that mixtures, compounds, all these things, how it's made, and the proportions are very important to establish that, okay? So now, you guys, if you remember, we were going green was our Roman numerals, okay? Green was our Roman numerals. Now we're going blue, okay, which jumps down 1. We already jumped down for the key concept, so that means blue is gonna end up being a B here, okay? All right, and then we have a heterogeneous mixture. Okay, heterogeneous mixtures, okay? And what's funny is the definition for that is, or the next thing is our term here, heterogeneous mixture, okay? With heterogeneous mixture, it says the parts are noticeably different from each other. Okay. Okay. All right, you guys, and then looking at this one, we're gonna flip our page and we're gonna get homogeneous mixtures. Okay, so we have here, C, homogeneous mixtures. Okay, and that, we're going to define it underneath it. One, homogeneous mixtures. Underlining that, it's a vocab term. Okay, and that's, let's see, substances are evenly distributed throughout it. Okay, so in a homogeneous mixture, homo meaning same. Once again, we'll talk about this when I lecture it, okay? And we jump pages on homogeneous, so we're gonna do page number 41 here, okay? All right, so now what's important is, you guys, I try not to do back-to-back pages. So on the top of this, I'm just gonna put 2.1 because we're continuing, okay? We're going under 4 here, so I'm just gonna put an IV here so that we know that's where I'm starting there. And the last thing was C, and then we're actually, let's see, actually, we're jumping onto a new one because we're going green, okay? So the top of this one, we're going on to 5. Okay, so V, okay, it's capital Roman numeral. And we have solutions, suspensions, and colloids. Okay, guys, also, again, not lecturing this right now, but colloids, you're like, is it colloids, is it colloids? Colloids, you just type it in the internet and it'll come up, you can play it. It's cheap for you guys because you're already on your computer using your books, right? Okay, so we're gonna break it down here to an A right here, okay? And with A, let's see here, it's our key concept, okay? Let's see, based on size of its largest particles can be classified as a solution, okay, a solution, a suspension, or a colloid. Okay? All right, and then guess what it's gonna do? It's gonna jump down into blues, which will give us our B, C, and D, and those are gonna be the suspension, or the solution, the suspension, the colloid. And then I think we're done with this section, okay? So here we have solution. Okay, and then we're gonna go 1, we'll define this. Okay, underline. All right, solutions, this is solution. Okay, and then we're gonna have to pull out the definition on this. Let's see. When substances dissolve and form a homogeneous mixture, the mixture it forms is called a solution. Okay, so when substances dissolve in a, let's see, when they dissolve, I have to look at this one again. How about to form a homogeneous mixture? Okay. It's called a solution. Cool. All right, so it's just when substances dissolve into, or it dissolve to form homogeneous mixture. Okay. All right, you guys. Next, we're gonna look over here. We got suspensions. All right. Oops, sorry. We got C. We have suspensions. Okay. So we're gonna drop down here and go 1 again with suspension. Okay, and you guys might see like For B, I wrote solutions, and then I wrote solution, and then defined it. And then C, I wrote suspensions, and then I wrote suspension and defined it. And you're thinking, why does he keep writing that? Well, suspensions is different than a suspension. And I know it's a really small detail, but later in science when you're outlining, suspensions might have multiple things below it, and we don't know until we go down to the next one. So just getting in the habit of this is gonna be good outlining habits, okay? All right, our suspension, this one's a heterogeneous mixture, okay? That separates into layers over time. Okay, and you guys notice I don't go all the way to the edge of the paper. If I was doing a better job, I'd be stopping right at this red line. Okay, so I can take some little notes or draw some pictures over here, but I'm doing an okay job. We'll be able to put some notes in there when we start outlining later. Okay, and also this was section 5, suspensions, solutions, and this is page 42. I just want to make sure I have that in the corner there. Okay. All right, and then we have D, which is our last one, which is our colloids. Okay, and then we have 1 underneath it, which is a colloid. Okay, underlining that because it's a vocab term and it contains particles. Okay. All right. That are intermediate sizes. That means they're between bigger and smaller ones. Okay. And because they're intermediate sizes, actually just make it say they're intermediate sizes between suspensions. Oh, I jumped over that line again. I should start making that a better habit. Between suspensions. Now, this is one of those definitions where you write it down. You're like, I'm not even sure what that means, but that's okay because once again, we're outlining, we're not learning. Okay. All right, guys. So now looking at my outlines. Okay, they look a little different than when they started. Like the ones I showed you an example. A couple things. This is a college line paper. The other one wasn't. And also, your outlines are never going to be exactly the same, but you should have the same patterns following. Okay. I didn't outline any diagrams or mathematical equations on this one because we didn't have any, okay? And then the only thing I have to do now is I have to finish it out with a statement, okay? And so looking back over my notes, I would just write this section. Shows how we break down maybe and classify matter. All right, you guys, I hope this helps. Okay, and once again, you guys, we're not doing this to learn, we're doing this to collect information. And once we have that information collected, we should be good. All right, cool, guys.